expanding their program. So my name's John Kelly, by the way. I'm the rigging and crane instructor for NATT. I came on board in February there, so I'll be hosting the meeting. So without any further ado, I say I'll start to share the screen here, and we have a presentation put together, and you'll be able to see what we have to offer here on the PowerPoint here. So I'll try not to bore you too much on the PowerPoint, but I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. So everybody should be able to see the PowerPoint there now. No problem, eh?
Yep.
Hoping, yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah. So we just find where to do the little advancement. There it is. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I'm getting reluctant to say it, but I'm coming up on 30 years of construction experience there. I've been 25 years involved in the crane and rigging aspect of it. I'm a Red Seal mobile crane operator by trade. I was a former crane apprenticeship instructor at Durham College, and when it comes to being able to train crane apprentices in the province of Ontario, there's only two TDAs, which are training delivery agents that are approved through the government of Ontario. So one's a union, the union school, the operators union, and Durham College there. So I was there for 11 years, and for 8 of the 11 years, I was the coordinator of the program, and I also have about 15 years oil gas experience there. I spent a lot of time out west there working on what would be considered global mega projects there. So I got in while the getting was good, and so you get to a lot of stuff by the book there, a lot of procedural work, and a lot of big jobs with big cranes, big rigging, and you're talking some jobs 15,000 men mobilized for the project. So it's a big undertaking. Some of those jobs are an experience, that's for sure. So it was in about 2014 or 2015 there, I branched out on my own there. I left the college and I started getting into consulting and offering management services to companies. And so I was quite fortunate right out of the gate. I was hired on by a company called SKE&C. They're a company, they're from South Korean engineering and construction firm. And I think if I remember right, globally, they have about 70,000 employees. So they brought me in there to be a coordinator, and it was a joint venture with Suncor to build it was a joint management team with Suncor to build a project for Suncor there. So there I've done, it was a very large job there to build a new mine there for Suncor there called Fort Hills. After that, I left that project. I was brought in through Sterling Crane there to provide services to Imperial Oil, a few of which were to develop some crane and rigging procedures and policies for them. And we did a lot of auditing there, which I'll touch base on a little later there. So what I end up specializing in, I'm a little different than your regular crane and rigging guy who offers stuff there. I don't rent cranes, I don't rent rigging. I wasn't into that business. I just provided management and auditing services, and I like helping companies figure out solutions that they may. I'll provide solutions to them that they may not need. They may not even realize that they need, right? So when it comes to fleet management, that's a huge cost savings. When I was with Suncor there, I helped reduce their crane rental costs for the project by $6.3 million. We get into project management, the field auditing, and nobody likes to have a guy walk up to them with a clipboard per se, right? So we teach the guys how to do audits. It's very intrusive, not so intrusive, I should say. And we call them crew interactions actually there, right? We can get into custom built training based on what the audits are telling us, and then we'll, like I talked about, the standard creation here. So with fleet management, what it is we can work with the client there large scale projects there, if you're into that, to plan the crane requirements for shutdowns, projects, and maintenance. We'll also set up a program to monitor the crane utilization, and we work with the client to optimize crane uses based on these utilization reports there. So if you can see here, this was a typical utilization report that we created for a project, and anything highlighted yellow was well below an acceptable percentage of use. So then if you just, we would just monitor this and we report back, and then they would be able to make an educated decision on when it's time to cut cranes there. So it's, you don't want to cut cranes prematurely there, because that could be a cost expense there, right? So, and then when it comes to project management, we can help clients there just make sure that the cranes and rigging are as planned, or as per planned. When it comes to any engineered lifts, engineered drawings, we can walk down the job, make sure everything as it is supposed to be, as per. You can see the engineered drawing here, and this is a little example of one there that we had on a project there, a 2 crane lift, and you know, so, and this would also come with a rigging plan. And some people just have a hard time interpreting rigging plans, so we'll just help out, make sure everything's good before the lift goes underway there, right? And we have the check sheets to make sure everything is in place. So now, when it comes to field auditing, we used an app called Go Canvas. There's an app out there called Go Canvas, and they help make forms, and they're very, very slick. And the benefit of these forms are, as soon as we are done an interaction, like an audit with a crew there, and we have, you can see here, like, and these are all custom built to what the client wants there. So the way this client wanted, they wanted to monitor what they call exclusion zones, the crane setup, any pre-use of the crane and the rigging, stuff like that, right? So then we just go through, and it's either done, which is safe, or there's an opportunity for improvement. You really don't like to call things unsafe. To certain companies don't like that term, so we'd call it opportunity for improvement there. So you fill out the report, you can take pictures, you can add it to it, and as soon as you enter on the report, it automatically gets emailed to a list of people that you would want the report emailed to for review. So that's how that works. And then based off these reports, we can then start entering the reports into a matrix and start tracking some data. So I don't know how many of the companies here are into hand rigging, but what I haven't seen a difference in hand rigging anywhere I've ever went. Hand rigging always seems to be a little at risk. And this, you can see here by this report here that it was basically 50-50. So when we went up to provide, when we had an interaction with the crew, basically 50% of all hand rigging activities had something wrong with them, room for improvement there. So either the rigging was overloaded, or they didn't take into account the structure they were rigging off of could handle the load. Just some things were major, some things were minor there. So anyways, and based off the audits, then we can start building some custom built training based off of the audits, and you can start getting ahead of these curves that you may not necessarily want to, that are heading you down the wrong path there, right? So basically, some of our custom built training is as simple as this. This was a site notification that the crews would read at their toolbox. We tried to make pretty these up a little bit, and basically this one was here. They had a stretch there of a lot of bad rigging going on, a lot of people not thinking about what the plan was and how to execute. So we just put together a little notification for the site, you know, about what makes a good rigging plan, what type of questions you have to ask, what you have to verify, you know, give them a little bit of knowledge on the backside, and we always put a little quiz there on the back too to make it a little more fun for the guys, you know, give them a little test their knowledge, and somebody usually always likes to be the guy who has the answer, and then some guys would have prizes to give out and stuff like that there, right? So and then other examples of custom built training we used to bring in some companies' technicians, the guys who actually led the work out in the field, and we would train them up a little, maybe like a 4-hour course on something specific that was not going too well through the data of the audits there. So, and also we can also create some crane and rigging standards for you if you're in that, if you need that type of documents there, right? It's nice to give your employees a baseline to follow there when it comes to executing their work. I was hired to develop a crane and rigging standard for Imperial Oil, which we delivered, and it went through about 12 regulatory checks and all this. But anyways, that was a pretty complex one. But sometimes companies just need simple basic policies too to give their employees there to execute their work there, right? So. So now when it comes to some of the courses, we rolled out a basic rigging course last year, pretty close to the beginning of the year. And so far it's gotten some pretty fantastic reviews. It's an 8-hour course. Our book has 144 pages, and there's an optional practical assessment that we offer. Under OH&S, a competent person is a big term there. It's a big term. So unfortunately, just training in itself doesn't always constitute, or always doesn't make a competent worker, right? We have to have some follow-up, and maybe you want an assessment, and maybe somebody at your work should, maybe you want a paper trail to make sure that you have the proper paperwork there to consider a worker competent there. A lot of companies are getting away from a supervisor's opinion on what the person can do there. They want a paper trail on some of the stuff there. So if that's what you want, we can help provide that. And it's a 1-hour assessment with each individual who comes through the rigging course. And the practical assessments are custom built around the fact if the rigger works around a mobile crane, an overhead crane, or a tower crane there. So because somebody who works specifically with overhead cranes all the time, they may struggle a little bit on a mobile crane assessment. So anyways, we try to custom build like that around what type of crane they work with, and the certificate is good for 3 years. So we suggest retraining after every 3 years there. So the topics we cover within the rigging course, we get into legislation specific to rigging and cranes. We talk about signals, we cover hitches, slings, rigging hardware, calculating load weights, and we simplified how we do that because there's an easier way to do it. And I think a lot of the students, a lot of the attendees we've had come through the course, they appreciate the way we break it down to how to calculate certain load weights. We discuss center of gravity. We give guys a quick calculation on how to calculate center of gravity, and also how center of gravity affects load control. So that's very important as well there, right? So there's actually 2 topics at center of gravity, and then basic rigging calculations, and we go over that there. So how to calculate tension in slings, and how to do, if you want to have a conversation about capacity, we teach guys all about capacities, rigging capacities and stuff. So. And here's a little bit of breakdown of the assessment there, a little more detail, right? So we give them a hand signal assessment, and then we'll go through. We have a rigging, and part of the assessment is a rigging inspection. So we'll have 5 random pieces of rigging we put down in front of the attendee there, and they have to inspect the rigging, tell us whether it's good or bad, and if it's good, why; if it's bad, why; stuff like that. So. And then this is the breakup of the practical assessment there. So we actually assess them on how they can rig a load, tagline use, and their crane signals, or how they give them, and if they know their crane signals and how they give them, can the operator see the signals, and standing in the right position, stuff like that. So it's a good assessment. We've had good feedback on this as well. So and then we assess, then we summarize it all on a page there, and that's we can send this off to the supervisors at your workplace there, and you can have that for your records there, right? So for when it comes to assessing your workers there. So now the overhead crane course is another program that we rolled out last year there, and it's also been getting a lot of good feedback. It takes about 6 to 8 hours depending on the amount of attendees in the course there, because there is a practical assessment built into this. It's a 98-page book, and it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way the overhead crane program turned out, and we've been getting a lot of phenomenal feedback on this. And again, it's retraining required every 3 years on this one as well. So the topics we cover in this one, again, we go over legislation, we go over crane types, components, we talk about crane inspection, we get into overhead crane signals, talk about controls, we get into some operating procedures, and then again, planning a lift. But even though we talk about planning a lift and we cover rigging in the course there, this isn't a rigging course. So I've seen in the past, not with this, but with other facilities I've worked at, where some companies have sent their employees off, took an overhead crane course, and they think they're good for rigging. So I would highly suggest anybody that has an overhead crane in their shop that they should send their employees off for rigging course as well. There, it should go hand in hand, because the legality of it all is, as soon as a rigger may rig the load separately to the crane operator, to the overhead crane operator, but when he starts to hoist it, and as soon as you can slide a piece of paper underneath that load, it becomes a crane operator's responsibility. And so if something were to happen there, the crane operator would be liable. So for the incident there. So now a rough terrain forklift course, we've also rolled this out in the past year. It's also been getting some good feedback. It's called it for Class 7, which are for your vertical mask zoom booms, are your telehandlers, and for your telehandlers and vertical mask rough terrain forklifts area. So again, it's 6 to 8 hours depending on the amount of attendees in the course. It's 112 pages, and there's a practical assessment built into this one as well. And again, this is a 3-year research on this. And the topics, we have 9 topics in this one. So we just talk about the introductions and types of forklifts that are out there, legislation, again, pre-operational inspection and maintenance, periodical inspection requirements on the forklifts, hazards and precautions, stability and load charts. And that becomes a very good topic there, because in my experience in the past, there's a few courses out there that really don't zero in on the load center of how a forklift is, its load charts. The majority of them are designed based on the fact that the load center is 24-inch off the backrest there. And we've had guys wonder why their forklift's getting light when they're picking up a load they figure is within the capacity of the machine. So we kind of teach them why what's going on with that. And so we get into the hand signals as well. We get into forklift operations and load handling there. So again, we've been getting some very good feedback when it comes to this course as well. And this one here, we literally just rolled out within the last month. So we're into the 0 to 8 ton course now. And you can see some different types of cranes here that would require training on a 0 to 8 ton there. So now, one of the common ones that a lot of companies really don't pick up on are your service trucks out there, the mechanics trucks that have a little crane on the side of them there. And that would, in order to run the crane there, the mechanic would need the a 0 to 8 ton training there to operate the crane on the truck. So so now our program follows the Ontario Modular Training Standard Program, which is the P930030. There is a document. And for anybody who's ever gone through a trade, this book would look similar to what you received when you're an apprentice, and has a checklist and all these items inside to go through. The Mobile Crane Operator Modular Training Standard from the Ontario government, any company that follows to this standard is providing the highest level of training available to the customer. There are some, what I like to call a kind of fly-by-night outfits out there that'll give a 1-day course, a 2-day course, and they'll cover the identical amount of training that you'll see that we offer here. And it's impossible for me I just don't believe it's possible for the attendees to pick up at all. You're just what they're doing is just throwing information at them, and there's no time to retain it, to discuss it. So anyways, we offer the training to the highest level to the highest level there is. Now, there is a ministry exam that goes along with this that isn't mandatory to write, but if a student wants to write it, they need to have a copy of this book signed off by the training delivery agent, which would be us in this case. And we go through the book and we verify that we've trained them on all these subjects. And then they would need these 2 pages in the book signed off by the training delivery agent, signed off by the signing authority of the company, and then they can go write the ministry exam. And there are certain places like Ontario Hydro in their facilities, their nuke plants, that they require anybody that is going to operate a 0 to 8 ton crane to have that ministry exam, even though it's not a requirement to run it legally. They just want them to have that ministry exam, because then they know that the person has been trained to the highest level of training that's available. So it's 40 hours, and it breaks down. It's 32 hours of theory and 8 hours of practical. And to follow this standard here, we have a 4-to-1 student to instructor ratio for the practicals. So we can have up to 16 attendees for the program for the theory, but for the practical, it has to be a 4-to-1 ratio. So basically, over an 8-hour day, we can train 4 guys. We can stretch it to 10. If we go 10 hours, it could be 5 guys. If we stretch it 12 hours for the day, it can be up to 6 guys. So for every additional student, we have to add 2 hours of training. So for the practicals, we can get into multiple days for pulling off the practicals. But so the subjects that are covered here, we talk about safety, operating near high voltage, the signals and communication, crane types and components, outriggers, wire rope and rigging hardware. Basically, we deliver our entire rigging program to the attendee of the program, and they walk away not only with the 0 to 8 ton certification, but they also get the NATT rigging certificate out of it, good for 3 years. So that's a $300 savings right there. So we talk about proper pre-operational inspection, the crane setups, and crane setups are the cause of the majority of crane incidents in the industry are due to poor crane setups. So we talk about transporting and unloading a crane site access and inspection, what to look for, like look up, look around, look for your hazards. Calculating load weights, again, that's all part of the rigging course. Calculating load on equal length slings. We talk about basics of hydraulics, basic crane maintenance, and load charts. And in order to follow the government standard, 3 types of load charts need to be delivered. So we teach them how to read a load chart on a typical boom truck. We teach the attendee how to read a load chart on a Broderson, or carry deck has another term for it, and knuckle booms. So, and if the client has a specific type of load chart they want covered, then we can work that in as well, right? And we'll always, if we do training at your facility, we'll always incorporate your load charts into the training when we do the practicals. We go out there and we're going to make sure that the students fully understand how to read the load charts of the crane that they're operating there. So, and unfortunately, if a student cannot read a load chart and they cannot pass load charts, then we really can't issue the license there. That's we can't we're not going to throw certificates just at guys just for coming. If they can't pass load charts, that's the big to stop there, right? So that's about it there for the presentation. We have we can do if I could figure out how to turn off this presentation now and get back to the screen. I hope, there we go. I think I do the stop share. There we go. So if we have any questions, anybody can come in. I think Sarah wants to speak here too. Sarah wants to touch on a few things.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. And thanks, John, for hosting this great meeting. I just wanted to touch on 2 parts for the training. So with our 0 to 8 ton, there is a grant out there called the Canada-Ontario Job Grant. And I don't know if many of you have used it or know about it. But with the grant, depending on your company size, you would be eligible for only paying 1/6 of the cost of the course. Or if it's a larger outfit you guys have, it's 50% of the cost of the course. At NATT Safety, it's all about the best program possible, but also saving you guys money. So anyone that's interested, please let me know. We can send out a mass email regarding the grant and signing up any participants for the 0 to 8 ton using the grant, Canada Ontario Job Grant.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't know if anybody has any questions, if they, about, yep.
John, I'll just comment just for a second. I want to thank everybody for coming on too. I'm Kevin Pattison and I own the company, and I think these programs that John has designed are second to none. And I stand behind them, and I see some interesting folks joining us, and thank you to everybody. People from mechanics, trucks, to the McDougall Fuels people with unloading propane tanks and small tanks and big tanks. And Richard, I think I see a nod in your head on that one. And you know, there's high railers here with high ab cranes. Jerry, you probably touched lots of interesting things that day, I'm sure. So I think it's very informative, John. I think it's exciting as heck. And I think there's a lot of customers that we're seeing, without mentioning names, that are excited about the rigging training, where people were doing rigging in a couple of manufacturing plants within our city here that had no training. And John came across some very unsafe situations that thank God nobody was hurt, and they're happy and working safe. So thanks for that, John. But thank you everybody for coming on the call. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so I just want to touch back here again, just putting it out there if anybody had a question or two or anything with the.
I don't think there's any questions as far as I'm concerned. I think it was a pretty good presentation. Do you guys just do the 0 to 8, or do you do anything higher than that?
No, believe me, I'd like to get into training crane apprentices again. I had a lot of fun doing it, but unfortunately, there's they can't saturate the market with the amount of trainers there. So it's just basically, and I don't think it'll ever change unless one of the trainers backs out of it. So it's just Durham College and ODIO, the Operating Engineers Institute, Training Institute of Ontario there. So I don't think that'll ever change. I think it's just those two, you know.
Just a pain in the butt to send everybody out of town, right?
Oh yeah, no, I know, yeah, but there's also ways to challenge the exam. Like if there are with a lot of the other trades, there is a process to go through that, and if you know, if you do have employees who are running the equipment, and you can sign off on so many hours verifying that they've ran the crane for so many hours, there's a process to go through. But you'd be well better off to have a guy go through the schooling system 100%.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anybody else? Anybody's quiet bunch?
Yeah, John, it's Jake Hughes here from Technica Mining. I'm just curious as to, thanks for the presentation, number one, for the information. I think it's fantastic. I'm wondering sort of how much involvement you get from the underground mining community in your training services, because it's a bit of a different realm in the underground world when it comes to rigging for the miner application side of things, right? Underground mining, underground construction, not so much the industrial maintenance mechanic world, but the mining level. So I'm wondering what kind of involvement you get in your training there, participation.
Well, we had who was it, Sarah? There, we had the big push there last year. There was the one company that came through right at first. There it was they bought a lot of training right out of the gate. I think they were our first clients.
It was cementation.
Yeah, cementation.
Did a bunch of rigging, working at heights. 0 to 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I fully understand like the different work environment. But when it comes down to say, like, just, we're talking about a basic rigging course here to begin with. Down the road, we're going to get into some other type of services we can offer, like intermediate rigging and advanced rigging, and we're starting to pull stuff and turf stuff and all that thing. But so anyways, basic rigging, like just to pick up on the basics of rigging to begin with, the inspection, legislation. We cover all legislation in our rigging course. So we cover whether you're construction, industrial, mining, we go through those depending on the class we have. So I built a rigging program like that. So then if we have a class full of miners, I can just disregard some of the slides on construction and industrial and just go right into the mining regs for rigging, right? But basic like rigging techniques for say like how you use a shackle doesn't really change whether you're underground or above ground. It's still all the basic principles there, right? So that's what we concentrating on for now there. So,
Yeah, yeah, it does. No, it's great. It's great to hear that other mining contractors in the underground world are bringing people into it, because it brings a standardization to that training in that industry. Right? Yeah. Otherwise, it's left up to the employer usually to well, it still is technically. It's up to the employer to go their own route in whichever training they want to do, internal or third-party provider. But it's nice to have the standardization of a third-party provider that is linked to the elements that are universal in the surface world, right?
Yeah,
so it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm sure just like yourself there. I know I have work colleagues right across the province, right across the country. I know people in Europe and whatever, and a lot of them do have the same opinion there, that really when it comes to rigging should almost be a trade upon itself. It's a very high risk activity, and all the trades per se are trained rigging as part of their trade. But when you get, and it's always just usually the basics of rigging. And then when you start getting into unequal length slings and load drifting and all that stuff, that's all type of stuff that's learned on the job. And there are some rigging trainers out there that are getting into this more technical training, which we fully intend into getting into that game there as well, right? It's a high risk activity, high risk. And it's like I say about wire rope, like I don't know if you've ever had conversations with people when it comes to wire rope. And I found that a lot of people I've talked to over the years about wire rope, they all think they're experts about wire rope, and the truth of it is nobody is. Nobody is. Everybody thinks they're an expert in wire rope, but nobody is. So it's sometimes you just need to fall back on your manufacturers and for the proper information that you're going to be given to your employees, and some of your processes you're going to come up with. So anyways, rigging is very complex, and I haven't met a person yet that really knows it all when it comes to rigging. That's why we have all these reference materials. And it's too bad I didn't bring a picture. I should include it in the slide there. We have a rigging card that we developed, a pocket card for employees to carry around there for reference if they need to verify capacities or tension calculations and all that. We have that now as well. I'm getting good feedback on that one as well. So 8 panels, no 10 panels. 10-panel rigging card there. So, yeah.
Sorry guys, I don't know if everyone could see this, but this is the rigging quote, the rigging card.
I can't see it really because of the white.
No, it's too hard. Sorry guys.
yeah, I should incorporate it into the presentation there. It's my bad. Yeah.
John, there's another question about the practical assessment being done at their facility.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was the question about? Can we perform the practical at their facility?
Is there an additional cost for the basic rigging practical assessment, and would the practical be done at our facility?
Yes. So the practical assessment's optional. And that there would be an additional cost to that, aside from the one that it takes a day to deliver the rigging program. It takes a day for that, and then the rigging assessment would be done at your facility there. the way we're set up for it now. Excuse me.
Is that the answer, Richard, you're looking for? Richard's muted, unfortunately.
I don't know if it was Richard or if it's just someone with the name Richard.
Oh yeah, we got 10 Richards, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Richards on the
I have
screen
the email. It's for the Walden Equipment Group. So we'll get sorted out.
there. Oh, yeah.
Richard works
I'm
there
answering
now.
it. Richard worked there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Anybody want to play Where's Waldo? I'm Richard. Okay, so that's how this works.
Yeah.
Thanks again for the information. I think it's great. Any kind of information that's coming in is a help, especially from any of us within in safety or management within our groups. I think this type of information is good. Obviously, your years of expertise and working in the field is going to serve you well and serve the training folks here at NATT very well as well. Now, we have sent drivers off to these fly-by-nights that you called them. I'm not going to lie. We have sent them off because some of our knuckle boom work is pretty light. When you think about it for some of the jurisdictions and what they're doing. Now there's a requirement, right, that it's an all-day session. There is a requirement that they got to come back and they have to spend some hours with us. We got to log the hours, blah, blah, blah. We got to do all that stuff. So in your comments there, you're obviously not a fan of them. And another gentleman talked about having to send folks out of town, and we have to do this a lot. In Northern Ontario, you got to send people away, and there's obviously costs associated with that. And I'm not trying to replace safety with cost. So I want you to understand that. However, cost is always part of the equation when we're looking at this stuff. Mm-hmm. Is there anything knowing that, yeah, we are hoisting and lifting up, as Kevin said, we'd be moving around some propane tanks and moving some stuff and at folks' homes. We don't farm out our crane services or lifting services. That's something we do in-house and in-house only. So I guess what I'm kind of asking here at the end of the day, even though I guess you might have told me in the beginning that it is fly-by-night, but these courses are somehow accredited to do this. So I'm wondering how that all works within what you're talking about.
Yeah, so back, so from all the people I deal with in the industry and talking about it and the research is 2009 was the year that the game changed there when it came to 0 to 8 ton training. So the Ministry of Ontario got out of the business of approving 0 to 8 ton trainers starting in 2009. So they're basically leaving it up to the signing authorities within the companies to verify that the training that they're providing their employees is adequate at the end of the day. So and some of the documents we found, and it says right in the standard there that they have there that if there is some sort of an incident, the quality of training will be brought up in the investigation from the government, obviously there, right? So anytime there's all your types of reportable incidents under OH&S, and a crane overturning is a reportable incident to the ministry. So when it comes to the 0 to 8 ton, I would pretty much guarantee that the MOL inspector that would be part of the process. They would ask what type of training does he have, who provided it, they maybe want to see the course content, stuff like that. So anyways, they're leaving it up to the signing authority within the companies nowadays to ensure that the training that they're getting is adequate. So that's the best answer I can give you on that.
So just a quick question about the signing authority. So I'm thinking you're talking about the NTCU?
No, the signing authority within the company itself. So for example, a company ABC, for example, they hire a company to provide 0 to 8 ton training. So this company ABC would have somebody within themselves that approves all the training being provided, right? So that
Yeah, so
they're
I'm,
considered the signing authority. Yeah.
okay, because I'm the signing authority for day.
Yeah.
So you guys give the course and then you send the papers to us and then we have to deal through the MTCU, right?
Yeah. For the 0 to 8 ton, 100%. So there would be a page in the 0 to 8 ton that would go back. The attendee would bring it back to yourself, and then you would have to sign off that which company it is. And
Okay.
yeah. And that's part of the page they need if they were to write the ministry exam. So yeah.
You bring up a good point, John, in that the game did change, and the onus is on the employer and the signing authority designate within the employer to ensure that the training is adequate to the modular training standard, right? So that's why having expertise such as yourself and the other service providers, third-party service providers, is so. It's how do I say it? It's a sense of relief from a signing authority standpoint that we're getting standardized training throughout the industry, which is nice.
Yeah. There used to be a list. There used to be a list they provided of all recognized trainers in Ontario, and that's out the window there now. So
yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing the same thing with working at Heights right now, right? Like this, the approved training provider within the private providers. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anything else from anybody else? Some good questions there. I like having these conversations there. It's good. Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody else has a no? Sarah or Kevin or
No, we've given everybody on the call an avenue to reach out to us via email, Sarah, Leslie, with any questions that may have got missed. They're both muted, but Leslie's shaking her head. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other questions in the chat. And then I can send out just a follow-up with the recording if people want that. And if anyone has any questions, they can send them to me, or if you deal with Sarah or Brent, you can send them to them too. Yeah.
Please. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Once again, it was great.
Yeah. Just want to let you know I'm here too, but I'm under Richard. I'm another Richard Royal.
funny.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you for your time, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank you. No, so
You did really good, John. It was really interesting.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. There's
Can I leave the meeting and then it would be okay with the recording?
yeah, I can stop it now, I think. I don't know where this recording goes to though.
I think it's saved to your computer, John.
I hope so.
So, yeah.
Henley knows how to do it. She did it for me before.
Okay. Right on.
Thanks, John.
Nice,
Thanks,
thanks.
John.
See you,
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, yeah.
And Leslie, quick question. Oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I was answering the chat.